You know, I thought about doing a parody of the Doctor Who opening with our names in it.
That would have been so
It would
cool.
have been, but I did like I was lazy and was like that'd be too much work. I'm not doing that. So
Hey, it's totally fine. I hope you would have like edited the music just a little bit that was like just off enough, but it was still
no,
very much
I would have
mostly theremin.
I would have messaged my cousin who does our theme song and had him do a rap over the Doctor Who theme.
Oh, that would have been really cool, actually.
That would
Listen,
have been.
it's not too late.
It's
It's
not
not
too
too
late.
late.
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey.
Exactly.
Let's talk about movies. Huh. This is candy for my brain. If you wanna talk movies, well, guess what? We on the same thing. You gotta watch this podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This Podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
And today we are going to be talking about some Doctor Who. A little bit of a break of the norm for our show. Usually we're talking about movies one of us has never seen. Today we're going to talk about a TV show. So what we did was Devon and I are both Whovians. So we picked some episodes of Doctor Who for Ryan to watch. Ryan, this is your first time experiencing Doctor Who, correct?
In this manner, yes.
Okay. So we had him watch an episode from the 10th Doctor, the 11th Doctor, and then finished it off with the 50th anniversary special, Day of the Doctor, all in celebration of the upcoming 60th anniversary special, dropping here next week, the week after. It's coming up.
I think it's next week.
I know they just said they're releasing something like a short on Friday.
Oh, that's cool.
So, so we're going to talk about some Doctor Who, but before that, we like to talk about things in pop culture that we've watched over the last week. And we're going to try to keep this one brief, at least my part of it brief, because I just did a whole podcast on this. Over on Brilliant But Lazy, you can hear my full review for I want to show up. There we go. For the Marvels, the latest entry into the MCU, the sequel to let me list off all the things it's a sequel to. The sequel to Captain Marvel, Endgame, WandaVision, Ms. Marvel, Secret Invasion. Yeah. All of those
too
things.
many things.
Yeah, too many things. Which might be part of the reason no one went to see it. But I saw it, and you know what, guys? I liked it.
Yeah?
I liked it a lot. There's a lot of fun things about it. It's a fun movie. Like, it's a fun Marvel movie. There's no, like, raccoons about to die. No, I didn't break down in tears. Nick Fury's fun in this. Like, this is a completely different Nick Fury than we saw in Secret Invasion that came out right before this. It's a lot of fun. It's maybe not the best film, but it's like my second favorite Marvel thing that's come out third favorite Marvel thing that's came out this year, second favorite movie that came out this year from Marvel. So,
Wow. Okay.
it's better than Ant-Man. So,
I don't want to say that that's not hard to do, but I didn't love Ant-Man. I really didn't. Like, the more time I spend away from Ant-Man, the more I'm, like, regretting seeing Ant-Man.
Some non-spoiler positive things that I'll say about this movie is a lot of the time Marvel gets flack for the fight scenes being just punch cut, and you can't follow the action. Because of what the story of this is, with the three of them having their powers intertwined, and whenever they use their powers, they switch locations, like they teleport to where the other one is. You have to follow them like very carefully to understand what's going on, and they do that very well.
Okay.
So the action's very easy to follow. It's a lot of fun. The three of them together is great chemistry. A very good villain played by Tom Hiddleston's wife, whose name is escaping me right now, which I feel horrible about.
John Hiddleston.
No.
Am I close?
No, you're not.
Darn.
And while I'm panicking now because I forget it. I should have had it up in front of me. Devin, have you seen the Marvels?
I haven't, no. And it's one of those where I want to, but I think I'm gonna wait till it's on Disney Plus.
Zalway Aston is the name of the actress. She plays Darben.
Got it.
Very good performance from her. Very interesting villain, I thought. But yeah, I gave a full review of it with Josh from Victims and Villains over on our show, Brilliant But Lazy, where we've been lazy and not doing podcasts, but we recorded 2 on Sunday, because Loki also ended at the same time as the Marvels came out. So we had to do 2 episodes. So
was that one as good as I hear? I hear the ending
Loki?
of Loki was like, yeah, I heard it was like so good it's worth like visiting now.
Oh yeah, it was worth visiting from the beginning, I thought.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, Loki was fantastic. That episode will drop here soon, so go follow Brilliant But Lazy for more. I think I have a key shortcut.
Oh, do you have one?
Yep, I do. Yeah, you can find us on Apple Podcasts. Yeah, Marvels is good. Very, very fun post-credit scene. Devin, do you know what it is?
Are they setting up the Young Avengers in it?
That's not the one I was talking about. That's not
Oh,
what I was
got it.
talking
Then I
about.
have no idea what the other one is. No idea.
Can I? No, I'll tell you. I'll tell you after the show.
Okay,
I got to
tell me
add it.
after.
I got a way of telling you after the show without telling you after the show. But I'm not going to put it in this podcast. Ryan, any interest in the Marvels?
Possibly later.
Okay.
The thing is, like, I liked Captain Marvel. I liked the original movie. It was just with all of the shows coming out, I didn't really have any interest of watching Miss Marvel. The only reason being that there was so much Marvel stuff coming out, and I was already burned out. Yeah.
I will say you can go into this movie without having watched Ms. Marvel and be fine. If anything, this is the first, which is weird because this is a sequel to Ms. Marvel and WandaVision. This is the first time that anything that's connected to those shows has come out where I can be like, you know what? You don't have to have seen the show to understand, to appreciate what the story is. Like if you've seen Captain Marvel, you'll appreciate the Monica Rambeau and Carol Danvers relationship. You get introduced very well to Camilla Khan in this. Mm-hmm. And Devin, Ryan, I remember Captain Marvel opening day. We ended up going twice because you and my wife liked it so much.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed this. So,
well, I mean, wasn't that always the intent too with these Disney Plus shows? Is that they were supposed to add additional context if you wanted it, but not be required watching?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was the original goal. They got away from that very fast when they made Wanda the villain of Multiverse of Madness.
Yes. Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah. So, all right. Moving on to something Marvel related. The Curse on Showtime and Paramount Plus. Devin, not that I need it, but convince me to watch this show.
I just love...
It's a show, right?
It's a show. Okay. I love Nathan Fielder. I unequivocally love Nathan Fielder. The fact that you said that in the beginning makes me feel like you know what this show is. Ryan, do you know what this show is?
Nope.
Do you know who Nathan Fielder is?
Probably if I saw his face, not by name.
Got it. Okay. So he's this guy that originally kind of rose to fame through this show called Nathan For You, where he would do a bunch of... It's almost making fun of like Shark Tank, where he like propositioned himself as his business consultant. And he would walk in and he would try to fix businesses by doing these very, very stupid things. And he actually got relatively famous for some of the stunts he did. He created a viral video about a pig saving a duck that was meant to like boost a farm, like in their popularity. He also was the one that, and you might have heard of this because it made the news, there was a coffee shop that opened up called Dumb Starbucks. It wasn't Starbucks, it was Dumb Starbucks. And that was Nathan trying to promote a coffee shop for the show Nathan For You. So he's done a lot of stuff like that, and increasingly not only through the show itself, but through kind of everything that he's done afterwards, he's really leaned into, you know what, you might hate this actually. He really leans into uncomfortable comedy. Like skin rash inducing, like every bit of me is crawling with anxiety because of how awkward he's making this scene. He leans into it so hard. And this is his most recent project. He had done one called The Audition. This is his most recent thing. It's with Emma Stone. And it's essentially about a couple who is filming a TV series for HGTV. And things just start getting weird. And it is Nathan Fielder at his most Nathan Fielder. It is so uncomfortable. It is so weird. It is so funny. It's so... I love it. I absolutely love it. They're both pitch perfect, Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone. Pitch perfect in it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where it's going, but I can't wait to find out. That's like my honest review of it. I can't wait.
Okay.
Alan, you want to watch this one?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch. I missed out on his other stuff, but the clips I've seen of him online, I'm like, I need to watch his stuff.
Yes. Nathan For You is still one of my favorite shows. I'll rewatch that sometimes. It's so worth it.
So I googled his name as you were explaining.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, but he's giving off really strong like Tom Green vibes.
Oh, but he's okay. Fair, fair. But he's like
Now,
a Tom. Yeah.
It could also be because they both have a very similar build except for the shape of their face. Mm-hmm. And the first picture I saw of him was like like a photo of him with, again, that slender build that Tom Green had. And then he had a Canadian flag behind him, and so that might have been where that came from. But still, like, it's like I was scrolling down, and he kind of gives off, like I said, like Tom Green vibes. And if it's like uncomfortable like humor, like that's what Tom Green did when he had his show on MTV.
After this, I'm going to send you a clip of Nathan For You. It's going to be a short one. You either do or don't have to watch it. But I'll send you a clip that's just going to be everything that his humor is. And it's either going to click with you and you're going to go, this guy's brilliant, or you're going to go, yeah, no thanks. And that's totally fine. He's very polarizing, but I love it.
All right. And then finally we have the wonderful story of Henry Sugar.
So I was watching stuff the past couple nights, and I needed a break. So I went to Netflix, and I really like the main actor that's in this, and I totally drawing a blank on his name right now.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch, thank you. I'm a big fan of his, and I've become a newer Wes Anderson fan. So when I saw that, so like when I saw that it was Wes Anderson and Cumberbatch was in it, and I saw that it was only like 39 minutes. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll watch this. I had no idea what it was or what it was about. And it is probably the coolest narrated movie that I've ever seen. Like, I don't know what it is. It just clicked with me. I had Kristen watch it, and she was just like, okay, yeah, it's decent. And I'm sitting there going, this is the best thing I've seen in a year. Like, this is So it's basically the narration of a short story that was written about this very, very wealthy guy that becomes a cheat at playing blackjack and does wonderful things with the money that he gets. And honestly, he does wonderful things with it. But the way that it's done, like the actors are narrating as they're acting their character in their scenes. And it's constant fourth wall breaking, constant fourth wall breaking, and there's like, it's almost like they filmed the thing on a stage with like like play sets, and sometimes when they change scenes, the camera will either pan over and the actor walks either behind the camera or with it, and like walks into the next set, or the set completely opens up to the next set. And there's 3 other movies that go with this that are 17 minutes long. You've got Swan, Poison, and The Ratcatcher. And they're all based off of short stories that were written if you're gonna watch these, I highly recommend watching uh, 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 the one that has the poster up on the screen right now. The Henry Sugar one. Watch that one first, because the other ones go back to characters that are in the first one, without any explanation, so like who they are, what they're doing. So so you're gonna need that to understand what they're doing in the short stories. But it is like, if you want to show someone what Wes Anderson is, or the way that he stylizes his like filmmaking, have them watch one of the 17-minute ones, and if they like it, show them the rest of the rest of the stuff. If they don't like it, then it's it's better off just skipping. But I mean, this is good, guys. Like, I don't know how else to explain it.
I love me some Wes Anderson.
For now, we're gonna Devin, you got yours ready?
I'm ready.
We're gonna break out our sonic screwdrivers, but sonic screwdrivers are expensive, and I didn't have time to order one off Amazon, so we're just gonna pull out our screwdrivers, and talk about some Doctor Who. So before we get into this too much, let's talk about what we did for the show quick, just as a quick recap. So because of the 60th anniversary coming up for Doctor Who, Ryan had never seen Doctor Who. So what Devin and I planned outside of the show a little bit was we were brainstorming ideas on how to do this. One of my original ideas was, let's just watch one of the Doctor Who movies from the 60s that have Grand Moff Tarkin in them. I was like, no, that's not canon. That doesn't count. And then we were trying to think of like episodes that we could watch, and how we would do that. Like, kind of like sometimes we do a triple feature where we have each other each pick a movie. So today we decided that we would each pick an episode for one of our favorite Doctors. And then since I picked 10 and Devin picked 11, we decided the third episode should just be their team up, which is the 50th anniversary special, The Day of the Doctor, which I cannot believe is 10 years old.
That's ridiculous.
Because I remember not going to the movie theater with my wife to see that because I wasn't caught up on Doctor Who.
Oh no.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about, like, before we get into this too much, Ryan, what was your exposure to Doctor Who before this?
The fact that it's a British show.
Okay.
The fact that he basically the British version of Bill and Ted. Except for one, basically the British version of Bill and Ted, as in they fly around in a phone booth. And scattered plot lines, like the Queen being a whale, and one really cool scene that I like where they bring Van Gogh back from the past for whatever reason to make him realize how important he is to history, and then his reaction to seeing people looking at his stuff in a museum. So that's all I really know about. Well, that, and he changes. Like, I know the basics of Doctor Who because I'm a sci-fi person. I've never really watched the show, but I know enough from like people like you.
I feel so loved.
Okay. I just realized my video was flipped the wrong way horizontally in the feed, so I just fixed it.
Good.
Devin, I'm going to talk a bit about my history with Doctor Who, and then I'll let you, because I feel like yours is longer than mine. My introduction to Doctor Who was in the Family Guy episode Blue Harvest, where they're going to Lightspeed and they play the Doctor Who intro for a bit, and they show Tom Baker's face. I'm like, I don't get that joke. But I watched this with one of my friends in high school. Was like, that's Doctor Who. That was Devin.
Yep.
So that was my introduction to Doctor Who as a concept. I didn't know what Doctor Who was. Then I met my wife in college, and her and all of her friends were in a Doctor Who club. I was like, I don't know what Doctor Who is. So, and that was around the time of the 50th anniversary special. So I started watching it, and she started me with 9, so Christopher Eccleston, and then I watched all the way through 10 and 11. Watched most of 12, haven't watched any of 13. But yeah, that's my history with Doctor Who. We have some Doctor Who art. Like that's Doctor Who coming out of the TARDIS with Spider-Man right there. Like that's fun art. So that's my history with Doctor Who. Devon, tell me a little bit about your history with Doctor Who.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I have to ask because this is important. Who's your doctor?
My doctor?
Who's your doctor?
I'm wearing a pinstripe suit and a trench coat. Not to mention my hair looks like Tennant's my doctor.
Perfect.
Tennant's my doctor. I like we'll get into this later. I like most of the new doctors.
Okay.
I really like Capaldi. I like Eccleston. I wish there was more of him because I think he has some of the best moments in New Who. Like he has a very strong season that I think gets overlooked a lot. And I haven't seen much of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, but what I have seen, I've enjoyed. I think some of the Doctor Who that I don't enjoy is mostly because of the writing, not because of the actors. But
I think that's pretty consistent for me too, though. It's not the actors. The actors are always top notch.
Yeah.
It's always the writing behind it.
We'll talk about that later because
Yes.
I had a conversation with my wife and I had an epiphany about something. So,
Oh, incredible.
Devon, who is your doctor?
My doctor's number 4, Tom Baker.
Okay.
So my history with Doctor Who started when I was well into middle school. I had taken up reading, and my dad understood that I had a rough fascination with sci-fi. And we Struthers men have a problem where if it's something that we love, we want to share it with you. And that's how we show that we care about you, is that we say we love this thing and we want you to watch the thing that we love because we think you'll like it too. And even if you don't, you tried,
Yeah.
So the very first Doctor Who I ever watched was the 1977 episode The Face of Evil with Tom Baker and Louise Jameson. And I was immediately in love. I loved it from the start. I thought it was so cool. It was the first time I had ever seen multiple timelines done in anything because I was little. Because the conceit is that Doctor Who goes to this planet and they go, oh, there we have a shrine to the face of evil, the most evil thing that's ever happened in it. And they step out and it's Tom Baker's face on the side of a mountain. And it's because of something that happens in this planet's past but his future. And that just blew my little mind. So I was sold right away. So I had read the books. I had seen all of the Fourth Doctor growing up. I could not get enough. I watched the crappy American TV show or movie that they had done. I was all in on the Doctor. I started watching Eccleston the second it aired live because I was so excited for New Who to happen. I've seen every single bit of Doctor Who all the way up until 13. And I'm like you. I've only seen a bit of 13, but I like everything that I've seen. For this episode, I actually watched the most recent episode of Doctor Who ever, just to make sure I'm caught up.
We'll talk about that.
Yes.
Towards the end here.
Yeah.
So Ryan, not that you have to answer this question right now, but I want you to just think about this for at the end of the episode because we're going to ask you who your doctor is based on what you've seen. So
yeah.
Or if you have an answer for that now,
Sorry.
we're going to ask you who your doctor is based on what you've seen so far. So if you have an answer for that now, great. If not, we can hold it till the end.
Peter.
Is it Peter?
Capaldi?
Yeah. Do you want to know why?
You watch more than what we gave you?
Because I continued, and I'm on episode 6 of season 8. His first season, not season 8. Whatever his first season is, I'm on episode 6.
So you watched from Day of the
incredible.
You watched from Day of the Doctor and just kept going?
I watched from Day of the Doctor, and then I skipped a bunch because for some reason after Day of the Doctor, it recommended me the beginning of that season, with him and like the dinosaur in London and everything.
Oh, weird.
And
Okay.
yeah, so like it skipped all those episodes, and I'm like, hang on a second, I'm missing something because I know the Doctor changes, and I know that this guy was a doctor, but the
Yeah.
last episode I just watched, it was the guy in the bow tie with the really big skull. So I'm like, okay. So I went to the last episode of that season of
Yeah.
Day of the Doctor to watch that transition happen,
Okay.
and then I just went from there.
Okay. Cool.
You
Well,
have some real good stuff coming up, Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Some of my
no,
favorite episodes are coming up.
so great. We'll get to talk about Capaldi a little bit. I didn't pull a graphic for that. Yay. So
No, I love it.
we're going to go back a bit and talk about, we're going to go 10, 11, 12.
Mm-hmm.
And Devin and I can talk a little bit about what we've seen of 13. And then we're going to talk about 14 a little bit. So let's start with the episode that I pulled for 10, which was Partners in Crime. It's season 4, series 4, episode 1. The reason I chose this one is I wanted to give Ryan an introduction to a fun Doctor Who episode, like an Earth-based episode where it's the Doctor doing zany things with a not too lore heavy, kind of fun, but also kind of relevant because this is one of the first adventures with the Doctor and Donna, and with the 60th specials, Donna's coming back with Tennant. So I wanted to introduce you to those characters with this episode. It's the second episode that they have together, but it's one of the more fun ones because it's the one with all the memes that from Doctor Who have come from this episode. So it's the Doctor in London and investigating a company called Adipose, which is selling a weight loss pill. And Donna's also investigating the same thing. A little bit of backstory I should have given you, Ryan, if you didn't pick up on it, is the Doctor and Donna had one adventure before this where she just showed up in the TARDIS in a wedding dress, and they were both very confused.
Okay, so I definitely picked up on the fact that like she knew who he was.
Yeah. Okay.
And he recognized her. So I knew that there was at least one meeting together because she was all on the whole romantic almost side of things about him. About, like meeting the right man and all this other stuff. But I kind of already have a sense prior to watching all these that like the companion to the Doctor isn't always a romantic interest.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because she's like the one for 10 that's not romantic, but like
It starts off kind of that way though.
I think it's for her. It's more like just the idea of the adventures she could have had that she passed up on. Because at the end of the episode, she goes off and like, "Oh, you're not gonna mate with me." Like, no, like,
yeah.
So, watching this, I was like, I'm glad this is a fun episode to give you a little bit of like a quirky Doctor Who episode that's just kind of fun. Shows some like just the energy of 10, which I think is what I enjoy, and like just the levity of it, because Doctor Who does get kind of heavy in at times, and 10 does get that way, but this is just a fun episode, especially after like there's reasons why he doesn't have a companion in this episode at the beginning and why he's hesitant to have Donna come with him. Mm-hmm. But this is just a fun episode where he's like, you know what? Yeah, let's come with me. So, Devin, watching this one, what did you pick up on?
I loved. I mean, I haven't watched 10 or rewatched 10 in quite some time. I thought it was a lot of fun to go back to this episode because you're right. It's just kind of quirky. I really like the thing they do where the Doctor and Donna keep missing each other, especially knowing like what their relationship is. It was just fun to see that. And I also just think it had such really good comedic writing, I think. Like for me, the scene where they're both like whispering at each other on either sides of the pane of glass, and then the camera backs out and the person in the room they're whispering on either side goes, "Am I interrupting something?" Because they're just so lost in their own conversation. Like, I love that scene. That actually made me laugh again, and I forgot how fun that was. So, I mean, this was like a nice warm bowl of soup just to go back to. It was like It was cozy. It was nice. It was a Doctor I love. It was perfect.
Ryan, what did you think of the 10th Doctor and Donna?
Some of the moments, holy British humor, Batman. And I know
Yeah, man.
And, like, I know it's a British show, but the main example that I have in this is when, like, they're both peeking up over the cubicle dividers. And I know that that's supposed to be them constantly missing each other, and I get it, but that's probably the most British way of like, oh, look how silly it is. They keep on popping up at the wrong time.
I am sure somebody has done this on the internet, but I'm sure that like putting yakety sax to that whole sequence and speeding it up would work perfectly.
But it was a good episode. It definitely it was a good episode to show the silliness that it can get into without it being like ridiculously silly. The one, actually, no, I'll save that comment for the next one. Okay. And I also like how they don't shy away from some, like, it wasn't just a good example of the silliness. It was also a good example of, like, what the differences of the show is. Like, yeah, it's a silly episode, but it kind of shows how different, what's considered okay, and I would guess, like, a mainstream British TV show with, like, the nanny falling to her death at the very end.
Yeah.
Like, that's something you would not see in, like, a very popular American show from the same time period.
And yeah. I like that as a theme where, like, especially with 10, where sometimes his villains just get so into themselves that they can't be saved. And that same thing comes up again for 10.
Yeah.
So I like that as a theme.
All right. So, Ryan,
I also want that diet pill.
Yes, me too. Real bad.
I have it. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say that on the show. So, Ryan, you said you continued on from Day of the Doctor. Are you inclined at all to go back and watch more of 10?
The way that I'm watching this show and the way that my brain is working on it right now, which I have a hard time grappling with and get it to, like, turn its head in the direction I want it to go in. I'm just kind of stuck on this, okay, I'm starting from here and going forward.
Sure.
And then once I get to where I feel like either to, like, the newest of what's coming out or until I get to the end of, like, either this season or, like, the next season, I don't know when it's going to be, but at some point I'll be like, okay, I'm just going to go back and go from the first episode that I have available to me and then just go from there.
Okay.
Because I would like to go back and do that, but right now my brain is just like, no, the next one. No, the next one. So
I get that.
Yeah, no, I get that too. Okay, very cool. Moving on, we're going to talk a bit about Devon's pick for an episode, which is the 11th Doctor. And just so you guys know, the live stream cut out again, but I'm not stopping again. We're just going to keep going.
Oh, no worries.
We're going to talk about the Rings of... What? I pulled the poster that has weird font on it, and I can't read it. Devon, what episode did you pick?
I picked... what was it? Season 7, Episode 8. Episode 8, I told Ryan 7. It's Episode 8, The Rings of Akhaten. So the premise of this episode is that Matt Smith's Doctor is kind of just introduced to Clara, and similar to Donna in the last episode, Clara does need some context to make sense in this episode. Otherwise, the first part might read as a little bit creepy, where he's following her parents through how they met and how eventually she was made, which is creepy.
Actually, can I kind of make a statement before you get into it?
Yeah, please do.
So I didn't know how long it would take you to finally get back to me. So I started watching 7, and then I was halfway through 7 when I finally got the message back. So then I just went through and then watched 8. So I do know why he was so. I do know why he was doing what he was doing. In fact, I had to stop because I thought something went wrong with the streaming service, and so I stopped to make sure that the episode did jump and it just didn't like land me in the middle of some random episode somewhere.
Got it. Yeah, because it does start pretty abruptly.
Jarring. Yeah,
it just jumps itself in. So the whole kind of point of this episode is that Clara says, "Take me somewhere awesome." So the Doctor takes her essentially to the Rings of Akhaten, which is a partly destroyed planet where a religious ceremony is about to be kind of carried out, but kind of something goes wrong. The Doctor has to save the day, and I really like this as a showcase for Matt Smith's Doctor. I think it's some of the themes that get brought up in this episode kind of carry on to Day of the Doctor. I think that it helps to show some of the things that the Doctor essentially carries around with him. And this started to pave the way for what eventually the plot for Day of the Doctor was. There's also a fun little Easter egg where the little girl that's singing in this episode is, I don't know if you recognized her, it's Amelia Jones, the lead actor from the movie Coda that we've all seen and liked.
No.
Yeah, 100% it was. I just verified it. It's the same person.
I am shocked. Okay,
yeah, so it's just everyone's been in Doctor Who at least once. I love it. But I thought this was a fun episode to kind of start on to show some of the other side a little bit, some of the darker side of Who, but the ultimately hopeful side. So, Ryan, we'll start with Alan, like Alan did with me. Alan, what was it like revisiting this episode?
I'm not a huge fan of Clara as a companion. I was confused. Like, I feel like I should have gone back and watched the episode before this, evidently, because I was confused on some things too. But I thought you picked a very good episode because this does deal with a lot of the Doctor's trauma, and like he kind of just unloads everything at once. At the end there, so it was kind of a good primer for Day of the Doctor. I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was funny that the music that I keep seeing like Doctor Who TikToks to is from this episode.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Because I keep just seeing like pictures of like people getting excited for Doctor Who coming back, and it's the song that she sings at the end that plays with it.
Cool.
I'm like, oh, that's where this is from. That's fun. So I'm not a huge fan of 11.
No, that's fair.
No.
That's fair. I found myself watching a lot of 11 after this one. I watched a lot of 11 after this one. He's grown on me.
They do a lot with 11 that is just confusing. Because like 10 does the wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff, but like 11 is so like you can watch an episode of 10 and watch the next episode of 10 and you wouldn't have had to see the episode before it. 11, it gets very heavy on the lore of Doctor Who and what's going on in that season. And
it does.
9 and 10 both have that too, but it goes on and on like for all of 11 and into 12. Like, Ryan, wait until you meet River Song, because that's, oh boy. But like I had the epiphany today, like we talked a bit about Doctor Who and the writing not being great for the Doctors. Like the actors are great. The writing might not be, but the doctors are good. I think Matt Smith is a good actor. I think he picks horrible projects, because outside of
really?
Doctor Who, the only things I could think of that he was in were Terminator Genesis and Morbius.
Oh no, he was in The Crown.
Okay, well, I haven't watched The Crown. The Crown's like Doctor Who without the TARDIS, because it's just everyone who's British. So
yes, yeah, he fits well into British roles.
Yeah.
But Ryan, what did you think of this one? This is a bit of a different tone of an episode for you.
Well, I'm glad that I watched 7 first. Because to be perfectly honest, going into the Day of the Doctor, I just would have been like, oh, okay, so here's a silly episode and here's a serious episode, and here's two different doctors doing two different things. Watching episode 7 kind of set up the like depth of him.
Cool.
For the Bells at St. John, because it shows him like, I guess, mourning someone else who was Clara at some point. or that whatever. And
You have the gist of it. You really do.
yeah, like he was like mourning someone, and then some random lady, I guess, gives Clara like a phone number, and like it shows the doctor kind of like healing, and so that made me that made me feel for him just a tiny bit more than like the one that I watched before.
Sure.
And the main part that stuck with me after watching Day of the Doctor was the whole like I don't turn away, or
Yeah.
like that whole thing, like
Yeah.
about his trauma and everything. And then when I mentioned before about I should save this comment for the next episode,
Yeah.
one of the other reasons why I think I'm continuing from where I stopped, like from the last episode of this Doctor to the next one, is because the one thing about Doctor Who that has always turned me off from trying to watch it is the theme song.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because it is so cheap sounding. And I'm sorry that if I'm making anyone mad by that statement, but it is so cheap sounding. The whole like woo thing like just doesn't no. And so to kind of look past that, the effects are better in these episodes, so it's easier to kind of like deal with the little corniness I see here and there, because the effects are more up to par. They're they're more polished, and so I feel like watching these episodes that I'm watching is going to make me appreciate the show to the point where I can go back and watch the earlier stuff and just be like, oh, this thing was made in like 2004. This is fine. Because if I would have done that now, I would have been like, oh my God, when do these effects get better?
That's, you know what? That's like, there's always an arc to appreciating Doctor Who where like you first go, oh, well, that's an interesting idea. Why do the effects look so bad? Why does this look so bad? And then eventually someone will walk into the room and they'll go, this show looks bad. You're like, it looks great. Wait till you see where it used to be. Like, you just kind of take that ride with the show.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to...
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm trying to do. But this episode definitely also set up the world outside of Earth a little bit, because now that I know that a half-dead planet or star can be a vampire, then I'm just expecting whatever at this point.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's where I've pretty much landed on it at the moment. So then when Peter showed up and he could talk to the dinosaur, it didn't make me, like, second guess it, because I saw an episode prior that, like, there was like a vampire planet that they were fighting.
So Ryan, I'm kind of upset that you watched the episode before Devon's, but not the one after mine, because now that you're in Capaldi, there's a moment in Capaldi's first episode is like, why this face? Like, why this face? The episode after the one that I had you watch, the Doctor and Donna go back to Pompeii, and Peter Capaldi is in that episode, and he's like a main character who interacts with the Doctor. So the Doctor chose that face for a reason. So the Doctor recognizes himself. I wish you would watch that episode. That's a very good episode to watch.
Okay, so I will definitely probably go back to that episode in the next couple of days. But does he, going forward, at some point in the 3 seasons he's a Doctor, say, oh, that's right, this is the guy I met in Pompeii?
No, he knows it's the guy who he met in Pompeii. It's why is he that face, and the reason why subconsciously
is in that episode with
what is the reason he has that face, and there is a reason for it. I'm not gonna spoilers. Devon, I feel like we should play a game where we just say Doctor Who things out of context and just to confuse Ryan. I've got one ready if you want to play that game. So let
I
me
got
know.
a couple.
Think of them for the end of the episode. We'll play that.
Okay, perfect.
So let's talk a little bit about Day of the Doctor. This is
Yes.
the 50th anniversary special that features the 10th Doctor, the 11th Doctor, and the mysterious Doctor that no one knew about for 50 years.
Yeah.
The War Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Devon, you were a Doctor Who fan when this came out.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. There was a lot of mystery about who John Hurt was playing in this, correct?
Absolutely. We didn't understand what he was even doing in this. They were just like, and like all we had gotten was, and John Hurt as the War Doctor, and collectively went, "What is a War Doctor? What is this?" And like,
Oh,
and
so
I don't know who John Hurt is.
You don't know who John Hurt is?
I didn't know who John Hurt was before this.
Do you know who he is now outside of
Yeah,
this?
of course I do. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely I do. 100%.
Okay.
But up until that point, I didn't know John Hurt, so I was like, all right, I don't know who John... I thought, and this is me being Devon and stupid, I thought John Hurt was the character name. Because I'm like, oh, War Doctor, last name Hurt, I get it. No. No. Oh, to be young and naive.
I love how your brain works sometimes. I really do.
But no.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were told he was the War Doctor. We didn't know what was going on with that.
Okay. So Ryan, this is your first introduction into Doctor Who combination episodes. In this, they talk about it happening in the past, because there's the 3 Doctors, there's the 4 Doctors, I think there's a 5 Doctors, and then it kind of just becomes a mess. So the team up episodes were a thing back in like early Who. This is the first time they did it with New Who. What did you think of Day of the Doctor as a special?
Oh, it was great. The 2 episodes that you guys picked definitely set it up well.
Mm-hmm.
Simply just introducing, because Alan's Doctor was silly in Day of the Doctor, which fit the silly episode that he picked. Devon's Doctor had a more serious tone in the episode, so picking a more serious episode worked for the pick as well. Now I have to say, to throw in my own to throw in my randomness into this, even though Alan, I know that Claire is the only one that I know when it comes to a companion at this point. But what I will say is that watching episode 7 helped me understand her relationship to that current Doctor when that episode came out. So even her being there, her being his his partner in crime, for lack of a better thing to say, as an American, helped kind of understand that relationship more. So even those interactions meant more than just watching this without knowing who anyone was. Now, when it comes to the other Doctors, because of the internet and because of memes and because of the just general sci-fi meme groups that I'm in, I have seen memes of a lot of the older Doctors. So
sure.
It was one of those things where it's like, oh, I've seen that one in a meme. I've seen that one in a meme. The one with the scarf, I've seen that one a lot. You know, it was stuff like that. So, and then when they did the whole thing of like the flying V formation, like at the end of all of the like people that they had, like that was cool and all. I mean, I didn't really feel anything about it because like I've never seen any of those episodes, but it was cool that they did that. The one part that I did like, and I was like, I know who that is, was when they were doing like the different Doctors showing up, and then they just showed the eyes and eyebrows of like Peter. Now, granted, we're like what, more than 10 years removed from that. Like
10 years, 10 years exactly.
Yeah. So we're like 10 years removed from that. So obviously, when they saw that, I'm like, oh, that was a sneak.
Yeah,
they did that as a teaser for people.
Yeah, it was so cool. They were like, "No, sir, 13." And like I saw this in theaters. The theater erupted. Like it was incredible.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, Day of the Doctor came out in November. There was a Christmas special.
Yeah.
that was Matt Smith's last episode, and then I think Capaldi picked up at New Year's.
Wow.
Like it was very
That
fast
was so
with
fast.
how they did transition, and I think that's going to happen again with the new guy.
I think so.
So because they're already filming his second season, and his first episode hasn't aired.
Whoa.
Yeah. So Devon, as a deep Doctor Who lore fan, is there anything from Day of the Doctor that Ryan may have missed that you picked up on that you want to talk about?
Oh my gosh. It's a good question. I mean, the thing that kept alarm belling to me, especially when I first saw this, like louder than anything else, was two things. First, the fact that there were so many Tom Baker references in this. Like even from Osgood showing up in the classic Tom Baker scarf. And then to the man, the myth, the legend himself walking out in the end. Incredible. Incredible. But then the other part was, this is the first time we had seen the enemies in this, the Zygons. This is the first time we had seen them post-1975 in their original run, Terror of the Zygons, which I rewatched for this because I'm Devon.
Well, the Zygons. You're talking about the squid-looking things?
The shapeshifters with the venomous sacs in their tongue. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so like as a Who fan, like this was a deep pull for a bad guy. Because the typical go-to, and I don't know how much you'll know of this, Ryan, but the typical go-through for, hey, the world's in trouble, this is a really big bad enemy,
Daleks.
I promise. Daleks, Cybermen, the Master. It's those three things. If it's not those three things, then they're typically little one-off episodes. So the fact that a 50th anniversary special wasn't Daleks, Cybermen, or the Master blew my mind. I was like, oh, we're going to go with Zygons. Great.
I mean, in a way, the Daleks still play a big part of this episode, though.
I mean, that's fair. That's totally fair.
They are the one thing I still can't... I'm going to need a few more episodes with them, because I still... Yeah. My thing with them, and always has been, their voice.
I love
it. And the fact that they're just repeating the same words over and over again. Like, I know that, once I watch a few more episodes, now that I'm interested in it, that eventually I'll come around to it and just kind of enjoy it for what they are. And the episode where they shrink down and go into and they go into one to help it, that helped tremendously for me. I'm still not all the way there yet, but it's a combination of their voice and the fact that they're just rolling trash cans.
Yeah.
So there's a joke that people call them pepper pots. And then the biggest joke for them, especially in Tom Baker's Doctor, is, man, if you want to get away from Daleks, some stairs. Just go up some stairs. They can't climb them. And then in I think the 9th season, or in the 9th Doctor, they show them like hovering, and they're like, oh shit, okay, that joke's gone.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they're kind of a silly enemy, but I learned to love them.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's going to end up being, is just that, okay, fine, these things exist, it's just silly, I'm just going to roll with it, because at this point, I'm still trying to be like, okay, intimidation factor, I'm still not there yet. Not there.
That's fair.
All right. So, Ryan, did you understand who the curator was when he showed up?
Yeah. Okay. No.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I recognized him again because as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, he looks a little familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought back to all of the pictures I've seen of Doctor Who and everything, and I'm like, okay, he's got to be one of the old Who. And then he was wearing the scarf, and I'm like, okay, I've seen that scarf before. And knowing how these type of anniversary shows go, I was just like, okay, he's got to be an old Doctor. He's got to be like the original one, or he's got to be the oldest one that's still alive, or something like that.
Yeah.
Which was cool. So that's how, I mean, again, it's 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 one of those things where like you guys watch it and you're
Yeah.
like cheering, and I watch it and I'm like, oh, okay, they did a cool thing.
Okay. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else from Day of the Doctor I wanted to talk about. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Doctor Who now. Because
Okay.
Devon, I'm kind of upset with you.
Why?
You live in the UK, so you
Yeah.
have access to all of like most of Doctor Who.
All of it. I have access to all of it. I mean,
Not
there's
all
lost
of it.
episodes.
There's,
No,
you
there's
don't have the
lost
last
stuff.
episode. Did you see the
Yeah.
there? I just read an article yesterday about the lost episodes that somebody has, but doesn't.
And they don't want to
come-
give them to the BBC?
They don't want to give them to the BBC because they're worried that they're going to get they're going to get charged with a crime for having them.
Yep.
But
Yep.
so they have a thing called the Whoniverse on iPlayer in the UK,
Yeah, they do.
where you can watch a bunch of old Who, and all the new stuff is going to be there as well. Over here, we have to watch, if we want to watch all of Doctor Who, you need 3 streaming services. You need Max to watch the new Who stuff, so 9 through 13. You need BritBox to watch Classic Who. And then
Ew.
Doctor Who, the new stuff, the new special with Tennant and the 15th Doctor will be on Disney Plus.
On Disney Plus?
Yeah.
What? Why?
Disney Plus has teamed up with BBC to give Doctor Who more money. So the productions had more money going into these specials and the new seasons because of Disney pitching in some money.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah. I mean, I think Disney wanted something to put in their catalog that they didn't have to make. But
That's
they could
fair.
throw some money at, so.
Like Bluey.
Like Bluey.
Yeah, right. Well, I gotta tell
mean-
you, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, there's not much difference between the Doctor and Bluey.
No. Same thing.
I've never seen Bluey, so I don't know.
Bluey is amazing.
I was playing video games with my brother-in-law, and I could hear my niece and nephew watching Bluey in the background. So I sent a message to my niece that because she could message me from her tablet. I was like, Bluey, and then she was like, "How'd you know I was watching Bluey?" I was like, "I'm playing video games with your dad." She's like, "You're playing video games with my dad?" And I just hear her walk up. Are you playing games with Uncle Alan? It's adorable.
Aw.
So David Tennant is back.
Yeah, he is.
As the 14th Doctor. He's the 14th Doctor. He's not back as the 10th Doctor. So I'm excited for him to come back. Ryan, I'm going to give you the warning. Don't watch the new Doctor Who stuff with Tennant, the specials, until you finish at least season 4 of his run. Because the Donna stuff isn't going to make much sense if you watch it without that context.
And that's the stuff that they're filming and hasn't come out yet.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. So they have the 3 specials with David Tennant and I'm blanking on her name. Why am I blanking on her name?
Donna?
Donna.
Donna?
Yeah,
No.
not
Yeah.
Okay.
the actress name.
Oh,
Why am I blanking on it?
Catherine Tate?
Catherine Tate. They
Yeah.
have 3 specials with them returning. The episodes after the one I had you watch, you need to the finale of that season. You need to watch to understand what's going on with Donna and the Doctor. Because there's some stuff going on there. So there's some good episodes in that season, so I highly recommend it. But Devon, are you excited to see Doctor Who come back?
Yeah. I mean, so in preparation for this, I had actually watched the last episode of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, and it was spectacular. It was really, really good. I really liked how she passed the torch, and I just can't wait. I know who the bad guy is for one of the new episodes of New Who, and that's so cool to me.
Yeah. Neil Patrick
Okay,
Harris.
so they're bringing back an actor who played Doctor Who already to play Doctor Who again?
Yes.
Yep.
So what happened at the end? Spoilers. What happened at the end of the 13th Doctor's run is she says, Doctor whoever is next, or Doctor whoever I may be, tag you're it.
Yep.
And so she regenerates like the Doctor does. And one of the things that's different about this regeneration is her clothes change from what she's usually when the Doctor regenerates, they show up in the same clothes as their previous Doctor. This time the clothes change and it's David Tennant again. And he's like, I know these teeth. What? Like he's confused.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't know what's going on. One of my favorite things about this regeneration is when I started my new job, like some of the students I worked with knew Doctor Who, and I would be like, who's your doctor? Like, oh, David Tennant. I said, oh, cool. Did you see the regeneration for 13? Like, no. Why? I was like, here, watch this. And I showed it to like a bunch of students, like, and every time, no way. What? That can't be real. Like, yeah.
I always get nervous.
It's a good thing we're not live right now.
What happened?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What happened?
You froze for a sec.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
you're
little
back.
bit more
So-
than a sec, to be honest.
Okay.
but-
So we lost you when you said that some of my students know Doctor Who. And
I'm not gonna
then-
tell it again. I'm not gonna tell it again because it's already
Ah.
in the podcast.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. You have to go back and listen or watch. So yeah, I got to like the regeneration is very cool to see. So we'll send that your way, Ryan, to check out. But then New Who's coming.
Yeah.
So now let's play a game of random Doctor Who quotes of things that are going to be out of context for Ryan and very confusing. I'll start us off with moisturize me. Devon, your turn.
Don't blink.
Easy Jack.
Geronimo.
Are these all just silly things that he says before doing something?
No.
No.
Are you my mummy?
Oh shoot, that was a really, really good
Yeah.
one. Oh, you're gonna spoilers. This is getting tougher now that we're getting into
It
it.
is. Oh man. Oh man. I custard and fish sticks.
I almost had Ryan watch that episode, actually. I'm out. I'm tapped out. I tried to pull open a list quick, and Google is not cooperating with me.
I will say there's a lot of things that you have to look forward to, Ryan.
Yeah.
The last one I'll say out of context is who wrote Beethoven's Fifth.
Oh, that one's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. This is I think that about does it for our Doctor Who special. It's a shame it wasn't actually live, but meh.
Parts of it were.
Yeah, parts of it were. So if you got to watch it live, great. If not, thanks for coming back and joining us now. Next week is Ryan's pick, correct?
Yes.
Ryan, what are you gonna have
It
us
is.
watch?
So, I was thinking long and hard about this. This is a movie that I've wanted to do for years. I am not starting our holiday dive with
Okay.
this one. This is probably going to be our last film before the holiday dive.
Okay.
But since I have a feeling I know what Devon's going to be doing the following week, I wanted to give everyone a real Nightmare Before Christmas before we actually do Nightmare Before Christmas. So, Alan, I'm sorry, but we are going to be doing Event Horizon next week. So,
Perfect. Perfect.
Devin, did he just spoil your next pick too?
I have no idea what you're talking about. He was so vague.
I
I can't possibly know what he meant.
I believe the correct response to my question was, "What's this?"
Good point. Good point.
Okay, cool.
Oh.
So Event Horizon next week, maybe or maybe not. Nightmare Before Christmas the week after that. And I know what my first Christmas pick's going to be too. And all I will say is that's going to be changing a lot the next few weeks. So
Ooh, fun.
yeah. So until next time, make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook for some fun memes, and stay up to date on what episode's coming up next. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch full episodes of the show, including this one that got cut out multiple times from our live streaming service that I'm not too happy with right now. And then listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. For You Have to Watch This Podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
Guys, I don't want to go. We'll see you next week.